Haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Samich Beis Amud Aleph. Starting with Daf Samich Aleph Amud Beis, 15 lines from the bottom, a little bit more than a third way up from the bottom of the Amud. The Gemara has discussed the Metzara in regards to the lug of oil. There's first Hazos towards the Kodesh HaKadoshim. There's also applications on his right ear and his right big thumb and big toe. However, now the Gemara discusses there's also the korbanos, the dam of those korbanos that are also, there's hazos on the mizbeach and also applications on the bahoinos. Says the Gemara, Tonu Rabbanon, Velokach midam ha'oshom. The Pasuk states, Velokach ha'koyin es ha'keves ha'echod, v'hiki voisoi. Velokach ha'koyin midam ha'oshom, v'nosen ha'koyin al tnucha oizen ha'mitar ha'yemonis, v'al boyin yado ha'yemonis, v'al boyin raglo ha'yemonis. So here it states that the kohen will take from the dam of the oshom, and that refers to the kabbalas hadam. Yochel, the Brisa says mikli. I might think that it's taken with a kli, which is the typical way the Kabbalah is performed, with a kli shares. Tamulomar v'nosan. The Pasuk states v'nosan, and we learn from there that he places it man nesina ba'atzmo shakayin, just as nesina is with the kain himself, with his own finger. So too aflekicha ba'atzmo shakayin. So too with his own hand when he's mekabel the dam of the oshom. Yochel, if that's the case, I might think Afla Mizbeach Kain. That's also true. There's Mekabel Dam with his right hand for the Hazos on the Mizbeach. Tamulomar Ki Bechatos Ha'osham Hu. It says Ki Bechatos Ha'osham. And the Gemara learns out in the Brisa, Ma Chatos Tu'una Kli. Just as a Korban Chatos, you're Mekabel Dam with a Kli. Af Osham Ton Kli. So too, the Osham also has to be received with a Kli. So therefore comes out, says the Gemara, Nimtzeis ato oimer oshem mitzora shnei kayhanim mekabel domoy. There are two kayhanim that are mekabel the dam of the korban osham. Echad biyad ve'echad bekli. One is mekabel with his yad, his right hand. That's going to be used for the applications on the bahoinos of the mitzora. And the other kohen is mekabel dam with a kli shores. The one who mekabel the dam with a kli, that will be used for hazos on the mizbeach. Whereas the one who is mekabel the dam with his right hand, he will then use that dam for the applications on the bahoinos of the mitzvah. The Gemara now brings a Mishnah that is indeed a brisa that is going back to the avodas hadam on Yom Kippurim. Tnan Hasom, it says, V'kula metamim begodim v'nisrofim abeis hadeshin. Divrei Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon. Let's say we have a scenario where after the applications of the dam, let's say by the Kohen Gadol in the Kaporis, in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, that the dam spilled. Then he had to then bring more dam for the applications towards the Paroiches in the Heichal, and that dam subsequently spilled. And then he needs that dam for the application on the Mizbeach and the inner Mizbeach. So we have over here a scenario where there's multiple parim. It says over here, according to Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Shimon, those domim that we had to use for multiple parim, those parim will then have to then be nisraf in the Beis Hadeshen, as well as those who were using all the kohanim that were involved in the sreifa of the parim. They will also have to then soref their begodim that became tomei. In other words, not only when it comes to a regular scenario, just one par or one soir, which is nisraf in the Beis Hadeshen. Here, when there's multiple parim and or also seirim, they will also be nisraf in the Beis Hadeshen as well as their clothing. This is the words of Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon. V'chachamim oimrim ein metam begodim ve'ein nisrofim on Beis Hadeshen ela achron hoyo v'gomar boy kaporo. So it seems like they're going l'shitosam, that Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon is in their shita. They said that every aspect of the avodah is considered to be a valid kapara, and therefore it's a valid avodah, whereby even if there's multiple, all of them will then be nisraf in the Beis Hadeshin. So too, the begadim will be nisraf. And Rabbi Chacham, who is the sheet of Rabbi Meir Lachara, that Rabbi Meir says that the dam, even if it was applied and it was valid because it was the end of the avodah for, let's say, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, but it's not a full kapara until all of the last dam is used, and therefore Rabbi Meir L'Shitasa says you would always have to go back from the beginning, whereby the only beged and the only par or sor that is nisraf in the Beis Hadeshin is the acharon. The Gemara now asks a new question. Boy minei Rava me Rav Nachman. Rava asked Rav Nachman the following question: Kamasir mishaleach. If indeed we have a scenario where there is several siirei mishtalchim, how many are indeed sent out? In other words, is it just one, or is it all of them, and which ones? Omar lei v'chi edroi mishaleach. Rav Nachman's response is, are you going to send a whole herd? Certainly not. Omar loi, Rava says back to Rav Nachman on top of Samech Beis Amud Aleph, v'chi edroi soireif. We saw just before, Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Elazar say that when there's multiple parim or seirim, they're going to be nisraf in the Beis Hadeshin. So too over here. The Gemara says, Midami, what kind of comparison is this? Hasam over there, ksiv oisoi. Hacha ksiv oisoi. Over there, it's not written oisoi. But in this regards to the Sira Mishtalech, it does say the word oisoi as follows. V'asori asher olo alov hagarol la'azozel. Yamor chad lifnei Hashem lechaper alov l'shaleach oisoi. La'azozel midbaro. Oisoi, you'll send it, singular. So Gemara says, okay, so now that we've identified that it's only one Siyar Mishtalech that's sent, which one is it? So we have two different Misaros. Itmar. Rapapi Mishmei de Rava Omar. Rapapi said the name of Rava, the one that is sent is the Rishon Mishaleach. He's sending the first of the Seirim. Rav Simi Mishmei de Rava Omar Acharon Mishaleach. Whereas Rav Simi has a Misara in the name of Rava, that Rava said is the latter Seir that's sent out. So Gemara says, Mishlama Rav Simi Shimi Bishmei de Rava, the Omar Achron Mishaleach. It's very well to say that Rav Shimi's Misara of Rava is the latter Seir that's sent out, because Kisavar Hoya v'Gomar by Kapara, since he completed the Kapara. So therefore, the latter one is what's sent out. Ela asked the Gemara, Rapapi Mishmei de Rava, Ma'ikis Sovar. Why would Rapapi's Misar and the Rava's, that Rava said it's the first of the Seirim that is Mishtaleh, that's sent out? The Gemara answers, Sovar look Rabbi Yosi, because Rava, according to this version at least, holds like Rabbi Yosi. The Omar Mitzvah Barishoin, who says that it's a mitzvah, it's preferential to then do with the first one. So therefore, out of all of the Seirim, you send out the first, says Rava. Ask the Gemara, hey Rabbi Yosi, what's the source? Where does Rabbi Yosi say that the mitzvah is Barishon? Ilema Rabbi Yosi de Kupois. If you're going to say Rabbi Yosi in regards to the Kupois, the boxes for the Shkolim, like the Mishnah states in Shkolim, Desnan, Sholosh Kupoy Shal Sholosh Sholosh Sa'in. There are three different boxes with the volume of Sa'in, three Sa'in. Shebahen Tarmin Es Halishka. From there they would remove the Machzis HaShekel. V'haya Kosiv Aleim Aleph Beis Gimel. On each Kupa, it's written one letter, Aleph. The other one's written Beis, and the third one Gimel. V'tanya Rabbi Yosi, the Brisa states in Rabbi Yosi, Lama Kosv Aleph Beis Gimel. Why is it written Aleph Beis Gimel on these kupos? He says, Leida Eze Mehen Nitrim Rishon, to know which one is removed first, which of the coins are removed first, from which box first. Lohavi Hemen Rishon, to then bring the carbon from these coins first. Shemitzvah rishon, because it's a mitzvah to use the first. So from here, l'char, we have a source that Rava uses, that Rabbi Yossi says about mitzvah barishon. The Gemara is doiche this and says this can't be the source. Why? Because Dilma beidna de ischazoi kamaisa lo ischazoi ba'asraisa. Perhaps when it comes to the coins that were taken from the first of the kupos, those were now chazi, those were fitting, and the ones that were not yet taken from the other kupos are not fitting. So therefore there's a mitzvah barishon. But over here in our case, when it comes to the sir hamishtaleyach, the latter sir hamishtaleyach only becomes valid after the dam of its companion, of its co-seir, of the korban chatos. So therefore, the sir hamishtaleyach acharon only becomes valid at the same time that the rishon is valid. So therefore, there's no rishon that you can go ahead and say comes valid before to say mitzvah b'rishoina. So you don't have this Rabbi Yossi as a source. Ella, says the Gemara, Rabbi Yossi b'Pesach. We find the source of Rabbi Yossi saying mitzvah rishon gabi Pesach. This nan, it says in the Mishnah over there, hamafrish pischoi v'ovad v'hifrish acher tachtov. A person has designated, he had a korban Pesach, and that korban Pesach got lost. So he takes another keves and he designates that to be his korban Pesach. Meanwhile, he finds the original korban Pesach that got lost. Now he has two different kevasim that are designated as korban Pesach, and now it's the afternoon of Yidal when he's about to bring a korban Pesach. So which one should he bring? Tanakama says, Eize mehen sheyirtze yakriv divrei chachamim. Chachamim say he can bring either one of the two that he prefers. Rabbi Yossi oimer mitzvah barishon. It's a mitzvah to bring the first of the two korbanos. Since he was designated the first one as a korban pesach, that's the one he shall bring. That takes precedence. However, even Rabbi Yossi agrees, if the second one is qualitatively better, it's more choice than the first one, then he should bring the second one. Al Kapanim, we see over here that Rabbi Yossi says that there's a mitzvah rishon, even though both of them are equally valid at the same time, on Yudalid in the afternoon. Nonetheless, he says the mitzvah rishona, so too over here in our situation, even though the sir acharon becomes valid at the same time as sir rishon, still Rabbi Yitzchok would say that you go with the rishon because of mitzvah rishon. Therefore, that's Rava's precedent, that you say the first of the seirim gets sent out as sir hamishtaleyach.